60 years ago today, the second and often considered best film starring James Bond was released as From Russia with Love. In the film, Bond, played by Sean Connery, is sent to assist in the defection of Soviet consulate clerk Tatiana Romanova in Turkey, where Spectre plans to avenge Bond's killing of Dr. No by using Romanova as bait in a cleverly laid trap. The film was a critical and commercial success, grossing $78 million worldwide, while critics found the film nonsensical, illogical, lurid, mad, and absolutely delightful because of it. Read more. 1963 From Russia with Love Fair used the British Film Institute's Screen Online guide, called the film one of the series' high points, and said it had advantages not enjoyed by many later Bond films, notably an intelligent script that retained the substance of Ian Fleming's novel, while toning down the overt Cold War politics. The Cuban Missile Crisis had only occurred the previous year. The casting for the role of Tatiana included English, Italian, Swedish, Danish, and Polish actresses, but none who could actually speak Russian. The score was written by John Barry, travelled with the crew to Turkey at the request of the studio to try to get influences of the local music for the many scenes shot in Istanbul, but ended up using almost nothing apart from finger cymbals to give an exotic feeling, since he thought the Turkish music had a comedic tone that did not fit in the dramatic theme of the James Bond movies. Recalling his visit to Istanbul, John Barry once said, "It was like no place I'd ever been in my life. The trick was supposedly to seep up the music, so Noel Rodgers and I used to go around to these nightclubs and listen to all this stuff. We had the strangest week, and really came away with nothing except a lot of ridiculous stories." More good news on this date. Simon and Garfunkel released their third LP, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, which reached triple platinum and included the songs Scarborough Fair and Homeward Bound. 1968, King Crimson released their debut studio masterpiece, In the Court of the Crimson King, one of the most influential progressive rock albums. 1969, VG became independent after nearly a century of British rule. 1969, President Jimmy Carter authorized the minting of a Susan B. Anthony dollar. 1978, Angela Merkel became Germany's first female chancellor and the first from the former communist East. 2025, Jessica Cox 25 became the first armless person to earn an airman's certificate as a certified pilot, thanks to an Arizona nonprofit group, Right Flight, that uses aviation as a tool to motivate young people. 18 years ago, Sheikh Mustafa Shuka al-Masri became the first ever Malay to enter outer space when he rode up to the International Space Station aboard a Soyuz TM-811 with the expedition sailing crew. An astronaut and orthopedic surgeon, alma mater of Manipur University, Shuka al-Masri performed experiments on live cancer cells to catalogue the effects of things like leukemia in space. He is the only Malaysian representing the 20th nation to visit the space station. Since Sheikh Mustafa is a Muslim, and as his time in space coincided with the last part of Ramadan, the Islamic National Fatwa Council drew up the first comprehensive guidebook for Muslims in space. The 18-page guidebook is titled Guidelines for Performing Islamic Rites Ibadah at the International Space Station, and details issues such as how to pray in a low-gravity environment, how to locate Mecca from the ISS, how to determine prayer times, and issues surrounding fasting. The orbit of the ISS results in one day-night cycle every 90 minutes, so the issues of fasting during Ramadan are also addressed. 2007, 69 years ago today, the epic Western drama film Giant was released, focusing on the struggle between wealthy oilmen and cattlemen in Texas in the mid-20th century. The film starred Elizabeth Taylor, James Dean, and Rock Hudson. Giant was the final of Dean's 3 films as a leading actor and earned him his second Academy Award nomination, before he was killed in a car crash prior to the film's debut. George Stevens won the Oscar for Best Director. Martin Scorsese said in the 70s, "I've seen this film over 40 times. There's more here than people have seen. It has to do with the depiction of a lifestyle through the passage of so many years. You see people grow." A huge box office success, the film's earnings of $35 million for Warner Brothers were not surpassed until the 1960s with their release of Superman. In the story, Dean is given a small plot of land bequeathed by the rancher's sister after her death. He toils until one day he strikes oil. He becomes wealthy, but rots inside from the unrequited love he maintains for the rancher's wife through the decades, even after taking her daughter as a lover. The film also explores racism in the South, with Rock Hudson defending blacks and Hispanics at the local cafe when they are unwelcome and thrown out. Another subplot centered around Taylor, who was raised on the East Coast, refusing to be deferential to men, as was customary in Texas, just because she was a woman. Watch the scene where a ranch hand James Dean strikes oil and expresses in vain his love for the rancher's wife, Elizabeth Taylor. 1976, and on this day in 1970, the Gibson Guitar Company was formed in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It was founded with the intention to make mandolins by Orville Gibson, a luthier with no formal training. The company ended up building one of the world's most iconic guitars, the Gibson Les Paul, in 1962, a solid-body electric instrument designed by a VP. Ted McCarthy and famed guitarist Les Paul noticed that Gibson invented the art shop design for his instruments, which made them louder and more durable by constructing the same type of carved tops used on violins. The musical innovator never saw the riches that were distributed to